An 8-year-old girl with a black eye made a plea no one expected. She begged a group of bikers to be my dad. The next day, 50 Hells Angels showed up at her school, leaving everyone in awe. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Where are you watching from? Let's get started. The small town of Redwood, California, was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone. At least that's what people liked to believe. But behind closed doors, some stories stayed hidden, especially the ones no one wanted to see. 8-year-old Mia Carter was one of those hidden stories. She walked into her school one cold Monday morning with a fresh purple bruise under her eye. She kept her head down, hoping no one would notice, but kids noticed everything. Whispers filled the hallway, some stared, some giggled, and some just felt sorry but didn't dare say anything. But Mia wasn't thinking about any of that. She clutched a small drawing in her hand, folded so many times the edges had begun to tear. It was a picture of her holding hands with a man wearing a biker jacket. Underneath, in crooked handwriting, she had written, "I wish I had a dad." Her real dad had left when she was 3. The man who had replaced him, her mother's boyfriend, brought fear instead of love. The bruise on her face was just the newest one. That same morning, while walking home from school, Mia saw something she had never seen before. Parked outside, a diner were at least 15 motorcycles, roaring low like hungry beasts cooling down. The men standing beside them wore leather vests, patches, and intimidating tattoos. The kind grown-ups warned kids to stay away from. They were the Hells Angels. Mia froze. A normal child would have turned around and walked the other way, but fear was what Mia felt at that moment. She felt something else, hope. Real fathers protected their children. These men looked like protectors. She slowly approached the smallest group of bikers standing near the fence. They didn't even notice her at first. Then one of them, a huge man with a gray beard named Bear, spotted her. "Hey, Lil One," he said gently, "you lost." Mia shook her head. Her hands trembled as she unfolded the drawing. She held it out to Bear. "This is for you," she whispered. Bear looked confused but took the drawing. When he opened it, his hardened biker face softened instantly. "Did you draw this?" She nodded. "And why'd you give it to me?" That's when her voice cracked. Her eyes filled with tears she had been holding in for years. "Because," she said, wiping her nose with her sleeve, "because you look strong, and I need someone strong." Then she said the words that froze every biker around her. "Will you be my dad?" The entire group went silent. Bear knelt down, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. His eyes grew dark when he saw the bruise. "Who did this to you?" Mia didn't answer. She didn't have to. Bear stood up slowly, fire in his eyes. He turned to his brothers and said, "Boys, we are heading to her school tomorrow." And that was the moment everything changed. The morning sun barely peeked over Redwood, California, when the town woke to an unusual rumble. At first, it was faint, like distant thunder. Then it grew louder, the unmistakable roar of motorcycles, engines roaring in unison. People peeked out of their windows, mouths agape. Something big was happening. At Redwood Elementary, teachers were trying to calm the chaos. Students were gathered in the hallways, whispering, pointing, and some even trembling in excitement. Nobody had seen anything like this before. 50 Hells Angels bikers lined the school parking lot, their leather jackets gleaming in the early sunlight. Patches reading, "Hells Angels," gleamed like armor. Mia's heart pounded. She had no idea the promise she made yesterday would bring so many people into her life, people who didn't even know her, yet seemed ready to protect her with everything they had. Bear, the gray-bearded leader, dismounted his bike and walked toward the school entrance. He knelt again, this time to Mia's level. "Are you okay, kiddo?" he asked gently. "Yes," Mia whispered, trying not to cry. I just want it to stop." Bear nodded. "We'll make sure it does." Inside the school, Principal Jenkins was trying to maintain control. "Everyone, stay in your classrooms," she shouted, but her voice barely carried over the rumble of bikes. Soon, she realized there was no threat. These bikers were here for one reason, to protect a little girl. Bear raised his hand, signaling the group. The bikers fanned out, surrounding the school entrances. Teachers peeked out the windows, seeing men they had only heard about in fearful whispers, now here to safeguard their students, not endanger them. Word spread quickly. A girl with a black eye had asked them for help. The message was simple but powerful. A child needed protection, and they would answer the call. Mia's mother arrived shortly after, shocked and confused to see the entire biker gang outside the school. She hadn't realized how desperate her daughter had felt. Seeing the bikers kneeling, talking gently to Mia, she finally understood the gravity of what had been happening behind closed doors. Bear approached her. "Ma'am, your daughter deserves to feel safe," he said firmly, "and anyone who hurt her will face us." Inside the classroom, Mia watched in awe as Bear and his men stayed calm, attentive, and patient. They didn't need to shout or threaten, just being there was enough. Other kids whispered, amazed at the unusual scene. "They're like superheroes," one said. By the end of the day, word had spread across town and beyond. Photos of the bikers kneeling and talking with Mia were shared widely. The local news called it a gesture of protection that touched America's heart. Mia smiled, finally feeling something she hadn't in years: safety, hope, and love. And for the first time, she felt like she had a family, even if it wasn't the one she was born into. That day, 50 Hells Angels didn't just show up at a school. They reminded a town what it meant to protect the innocent. And for Mia, it was the beginning of a life-changing bond that no bruise, no fear, and no absence could ever break.